So I'm standing up here, and there's three things that come to my immediate mind. The first is I'm standing on the same stage and using the same mic and talking to the same group of people that Magic Johnson was yesterday. And that is really amazing and really, really intimidating. I'm also thinking about how humbled I am to be here. I come to the summit every year. I look out in the crowd. I see clients who have been with us from day one. I see new clients who are here for the first time, and I can't wait to get to know you. I see so many friends. I've become so close with so many of you, and it's so wonderful to be up here seeing you in the crowd. So I'm really humbled to be up here talking to you today. I'm also feeling really lucky, and I don't say that for a heartwarming reason. I'm lucky because I almost quit this job on my very first day, and I'm literally really lucky to be here. What happened was I was working at a wireless retailer that was founded by the same founders of IQmetrics. And on my first day, I was working at the corporate office. I got the tour of the office, and I got to go around and meet everyone. I was introduced as the new girl, and then I went to the coffee machine a couple times, and we chatted. And then we all went out as a group to lunch together. And I left at the end of the day, and I was thinking, this is awesome. I could work here. I could totally build a career here. And I was feeling really positive and excited about it. So I'm walking out the door, and this guy stops me, and he says, Stacy, I'm going to tell you something because I would want to know if I were you. And I don't think anyone else is going to tell you, but your pants have split, and they're ripped, and your underwear has been showing all day. So I was horrified, and I thought, there's no way on earth I can come back here. I'm gonna have to quit. I can't go back. But I obviously worked through it. I'm here, and I'm really lucky to be here. I'm so excited. So I also can't believe how big the summit is and how many people are in this room. And I think back to the very first summit. So our very first summit back in 2005, we only had 70 attendees, 3 vendors, and we got really deep with our topics, and we talked about things like how to create a new customer in Retail IQ. Other things at the summit in 2005 that we were talking about was the growing trend of illegal music downloads and what that was going to do to the business. Things that were up and coming were photo messaging, wallpapers, and downloading ringtones, and that's what we were making money off of. And the new thing that we were so excited that was upcoming, we were going to make so much money, was satellite radio. So things have changed. So fast forward to today, 9 years later. There's almost 800 attendees at our summit this year. We have 41 vendors here. Clients are hosting sessions, and we even have NBA superstars talking. And that's a big shift and a big change, and it's so exciting. What's so exciting to me about where we've come as a summit and as a group together is that we even get representation from the biggest manufacturers out there. Samsung and Apple are both in the house and here with us today, and that is very, very cool. So again, thinking back to the 2005 summit, where we had 70 attendees, I'd ask you, if you were at the very first original summit in 2005, stand up. All right, keep standing. So now stand up if this is not your first summit and you've been to a summit before. And look around the room. Look at how much we've grown together from that to this. And we've gone through all of it together, and every single person has become part of that. So thank you guys so much. Thanks. So in the last 10 plus years, we've had so many interactions with all of you. We meet you here at the summit. We meet at trade shows. You come out to our office and go through trainings. We've gone to countless dealers and wireless retailers and visited them at their offices. You talk to us on the phone every single day in support with your account managers. It doesn't matter where we're talking to you, but we learn the most when we talk to you. We make our decisions on the product, on what's going to be best for you, And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. So we absolutely do learn the most when we talk to you. So here's the thing that's become most apparent to me in talking with all of you at all of these different events. You're really busy, and you have a lot going on. So RQ, XQ, BI, partners, your lives are way more than just that. That's not all that you have going on in your world every single day as a retailer. When it comes down to what you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, there's so much going on. It's shrinking margins, it's carrier relationships. Should you grow? Should you sell? How are you going to train new employees? How are you going to recruit new employees? Property leases, so much going on, and you're really, really busy. So the point is, at the end of the day, you could have every product and every partner enabled in your business, but if you don't execute them right, you're not going to succeed. So one very common thing that we hear is how executing things is not as easy as we think. It's not, hey, turn that on, tomorrow roll it out, and that's just how it works. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and, hey, you might want to implement this. Oh, I can't. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough people. It's just too much going on. It's too hard. And I originally honestly thought that running a retail store would be really easy. But that's only because I only understood our one piece of your puzzle. So I started thinking, how could we get that real-world experience so that we could start to figure out the reality of execution? Because execution has to be perfect, and you have to do it successfully to make everything work. So how could IQ Metrics get that experience and figure that piece out? How could we take all of the knowledge that we've learned over the years when working with you and talking to you and actually do something about it? And I figured out that really the only way we were going to figure that out was to essentially become one of you and become an extension of a wireless retailer. So that's where I came up with the idea of Project Retail. I needed to find a cutting-edge dealer who was open-minded, who was going to work with IQ Metrics and let us come in and basically hijack their world for 6 months or more. So I started talking to a bunch of people. Last year at the summit, I met this guy for the first time. And I met him again at CES at the Offwire event, and I told him about my idea. And I said, we should set up a meeting and talk about this. Yeah, sure, call me, do it. So in February, I called him, but he didn't call me back. And then I called him again, and he didn't call me back again. And then I emailed him, and he didn't email me back. But finally, when we touched base, turns out he didn't think I was serious, and that I was talking to everyone about that, but I wasn't. I was totally dead serious. So I pitched my idea to Krrish. We got together, and here's what happened. About a year ago, I approached a 40-location Verizon wireless dealer, Wireless Communications, and I asked them to set up a meeting. We wanted to prove that if you implement the entire IQ Metrics ecosystem of products and partners, that productivity would go up, sales would go up, communication would improve, and so on. So we did.
One of the coolest things is that we're rolling out so many changes at once and uncovering some of the powerful tools of the software.
With having IQ Metrics be such a part of the experience, we've been able to really utilize the products more. Our inventory manager said the other day, everything I've been doing is wrong. You know, there's a much easier way to do this. It's just that no one ever taught us.
Project Retail has had a great effect on our customer experience in the store as well.
We can build off of what we're learning and how we can make our customer experience that much better overall.
It was all about change, and this old dog doesn't like change. So I had to change. I wanted to change. I wanted to make wireless communications better along with IQ Metrics.
In one word to describe the entire experience, I would have to say gratifying.
Educational.
Refreshing.
Exciting.
Communication.
We have gained so much knowledge and experience working with IQmetrics.
Without a doubt, I can say that this project was extremely successful. Having an entire team of industry experts armed with hands-on experience is really going to give us the opportunity to change our offerings and grow together. So then we kicked off the project. Wireless Communications has 40 Verizon stores, and Krrish assigned us one district of 7 stores and said, let's implement these changes in these 7 stores. Let's see how it goes. We'll reassess and pick and choose what worked. After the summit, we'll roll it out to the rest of the stores. So that's how it started. Here's what we did. We implemented over 20 RQ changes, and it was all different parts of RQ. It was security roles, it was new modules, we looked at existing modules, we did training on all of these with all of the different pieces and people in their company. We used their teams from the store level up to their senior leadership team so that we were aligning correctly with their goals and we weren't jumping in and changing too much with putting in 20 RQ changes. It obviously wasn't just RQ. We completely eliminated their manual reporting with BI, and we introduced some new metrics into their business that they weren't previously looking at. On the XQ side, we really went for it all. We did browse, we did browse for iPad, XQ trade-in, we did ad play, and I was actually really happy when Krrish was so detail-oriented about the XQ rollout. It had to be perfect. The fixtures had to be perfect. There was no room for poor execution on the XQ front, and it turned out just beautiful. With new partners, we introduced 6 new partners in a really, really short period of time. It was so neat to be on the other side of the table for these rollouts. And like I said, it was not as simple as turn this on today and roll this out tomorrow. We had to train their staff, we had to time it right, we had to make the reporting right, we had to make the incentives right, and we had to consider all of those different pieces so that it was successful. And we had to do that, we would do that with one partner. We would get through it, it would start being successful, and then we would say, oh, guess what, we're doing another one, and another one, and another one. And we pushed those stores so hard in such a short period of time, but they embraced it so well, and their team was just so phenomenal to work with. And it wasn't easy, but it was really, really such a great experience to be on the other side of the table and the reality of what you guys are dealing with when you've got to do all of these things. So that was really neat. So I know everyone in the room is sitting there thinking, okay, great, we did this, we did this, we did this. Was it worth it? Did it work? And what were the results? So when we look at the results of our district compared to the rest of the stores, sales were up over last year, and gross profit was up significantly in that district compared to the rest of the stores. So obviously, the number one thing everyone wants is to make money. That's why you're all here. That's why you're all in retail. You want to make more money. It's the best thing. I'll tell you though, I feel like the best part of this project was the things that can't be measured in sales and gross profit. You can't put a value in money on the employee experience that we changed and the customer experience and all the tiny little things that we added to clean things up and make it more consistent so they could create this untouchable customer experience. So it's so important to this project and for all of you to remember and know that it's not always just about sales and gross profit. The small things add up, and for Project Retail, they were absolutely invaluable. So one day, I was out for lunch with Krrish, and this is the day I figured out that our project was successful. We were chatting about how are we going to take those 20 RQ changes and all those new partners and put them in the other stores. And remember, originally, we were going to wait till after the summit, and we were going to roll it out. So we're having this conversation, and I'm thinking, okay, let's start planning this. Let's take a couple months, plan it out. We've got 33 stores we want to do all this stuff in. And he was like, you know what? Let's just do it on September 1st. And I was like, okay, we can do it on September 1st. But it was August 27th. So we only had 4 days to take all of those changes and roll them out in all the other stores. So it was obviously quite challenging, but it was absolutely worth it. And did we hit bumps along the way during this project in implementing all of these things? Sure, we did. Of course, nothing goes perfect, but we definitely reacted to them as best as we could, and we didn't give up. Did we implement a few things that just didn't work? Yep. But we figured out why, and we tried again until it worked. So we didn't ever just give up on an idea. We really got that real world experience with working with them on how to take what we know and what you all know as retailers and really marry the two to create that fantastic experience. The reality of execution is just that. You have to learn from your mistakes. You can't just give up on the idea. You just have to learn from them and move forward, and that's what we did, and we've learned so much. If you wait for perfect, it's honestly never gonna happen. I've learned more in the last 7 months than I have in the last few years by working with this company. I respect more than ever what you're all dealing with on a daily basis because it's a lot. IQmetrix is excited and really looking forward to working with all of you going forward and offering this type of service and partnering with more of you to do exactly what we just did with wireless communications in your stores. The industry is changing and changing, and every year when we meet at this summit, there's something new going on, and there's something new that we have to implement, and there's something new that we have to react to. So it's up to us to keep reinventing ourselves. IQmetrix, you, we always have to keep reinventing and working together to make sure that we're as successful as we possibly can be. So I'm very excited to move forward and continue to grow with all of you and have you grow with us, and just let's keep it going more and more. Let's keep the real world reality of your lives working with IQmetrix. The next part of what I want to go through today is a panel discussion. You know, we get here, we talk to everybody, we do our State of the Wireless Industry survey, we get to check those answers out, and there's a very common theme all the time of what you are all dealing with. We see the same trends, same concerns, and I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to hear from your peers and IQmetrix on kind of what we're dealing with and what you're going through. So we're going to move to a panel discussion on a few topics. So before we get there, I'll start to introduce the three wonderful panelists that we have here with us today. The first is Krrish Patel. Krrish was clearly cut out for the telecommunications industry since he was young. Krrish is a graduate of University of South Carolina Upstate, and while he was going to university full-time, he was actually working full-time as a rep for Verizon Wireless, and that's where he got his inspiration to start Verizon stores. He opened up his first Verizon store in 2008, and 2 months later, he opened up his second Verizon store. Today, he obviously has 40 stores. In 2012, wireless communications was ranked 25 in the Inc. 500 list, which is an exclusive ranking of the nation's fastest growing private companies. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Krrish's parents a couple weeks ago, and in talking to them and hearing what they had to say about them, it's very evident where he gets his passion for success from. So don't take my word for it. Here's what they had to say about him.
Krrish, where do I begin? What I can say about Krrish is my blessing in disguise child. Every time I talk about Krrish, I get tears, but no tears. It's a happy occasion. As growing up, he was a very fine young boy, and one day we started talking, and he said, I asked him, Krrish, what are you going to do when you grow up? And as you all know, all Asian especially, and Indian, every child in household either is a doctor, engineer, or some genius. So I asked Krrish, what are you going to do? And he said, look, Mom, I'm neither going to be the doctor or the engineer, but I will make you proud one day. And I think that day is here. And all I can say is I'm so proud of him. There is no word to describe.
So I felt like it was really important when talking with them, talking about Project Retail, to make sure that they were part of the experience. So unbeknownst to Krrish, his parents have actually flown in to be here for him today. So everyone, give a big wave to Krrish's mom and dad. Come on, Krrish, you're up. So our next panelist is Mark Butler. Mark's done one crucial mistake, and that was adding me as a friend on Facebook. I think before wireless, Mark was a backup dancer for MC Hammer. Mark went to Delphi University, and he has been in the wireless industry since 1989. He's been through all of the changes from Metro 1 to Cellular 1 to Singular to AT&T. He's been in different roles and capacities with different businesses. Product Center has almost tripled the size of their business in the last year. They currently have 54 stores, and their main focus has always been on customer service. Mark. Now we get to go on to my boss, Eric. Your parents aren't here, don't worry. So Eric, even though Eric's a bigwig executive, I think he doesn't mind to get his hands dirty.
It's too funny.
Eric co-founded Work Wireless in 1999, and he has been in the industry ever since. He graduated from University of Western Ontario with a BA in economics and a CMA designation. He is our wireless industry guru. Please welcome Eric Stakowski. So we've got some pretty exciting topics here for you guys, and what we want to do is just make this conversational. So we will get into questions if we have time, so if anyone has any questions, we'll make sure we try to save time to get any questions you may have for these three wonderful dream team guys.
Hey, Stace, are we on?
You're on.
So, on a regular basis, you guys are up here always thanking us for all of what we do for you. But I think we should really be thanking you guys for what have you done for us. And so for the 7 years that we've been with you guys, we really appreciate it. And I know that there are a lot of dealers out here really appreciate all that they do for us. So thank you. But with that said, that wasn't the mic that that Magic Johnson was using. It was this one.
Whatever. So here's the first topic we want to talk about. If you look at the results of the State of the Wireless Industry survey, any conversation we have with you, you all name recruiting and training as your #1 opportunity and blocker to success. So it's just a topic that comes up over and over and over, something that all of you are struggling with. So I would ask our panelists if we could just speak to your people strategy and the competitive advantage that you might have in this area.
You know, maybe before you guys get going too, do want to real quickly acknowledge Krrish and his company as well. You know, when Stacy first came to me, but it was about a year ago, I guess, and had this cockamamie idea that we're going to inject ourselves into one of our dealers' businesses and really put money where our mouth was. You know, we for years have said we think this is best practice. If you adopt this, you see this type of return. Tough statement to make unless you can back it up, right? So when she came to me with that idea, I said, so let me get this straight. You're going to find a sucker customer of ours who's going to let us into their business, expose everything, and essentially let us run a division of their business for 6 months? She said yes. And turns out we didn't have to drive very far down the road to find one. So, but that was awesome, Krrish. We wouldn't be here today talking about the things we can talk about if it wasn't for Krrish and his company. So thanks again.
Well, I also want to piggyback and say thank you to the team that worked with us. Stacy, Chris, and Nick were amazing to work with. They were a perfect representation of IQ Metrics. We appreciate the opportunity and the partnership. We learned so much together at both organizations about ourselves and about this business, and hopefully we can share that experience with everybody here so everybody's business can get better. So thank you again for allowing us to partner up.
So maybe I'll frame the question a little differently for you guys too. So over the years, and we don't really have the slides on the stats, but we can talk through them. So we do this annual survey, which we send out to our entire customer base. We get the results back, and we compare year over year. You know, what's top of mind for you guys? What are you thinking about? What do the challenges look like? What's the business look like? And one of the reason we're starting here with this topic is really the results have been pretty consistent. You normally come back and say, if we boil it away, you know, yes, we've got competition, and competition is fierce, but at the end of the day, we can hang our hat on a couple of things that's maybe our secret sauce as a dealer community, and it does boil down to customer service as being one of the most definitive competitive advantages that you guys year over year claim that keeps you competitive. So I think that makes sense. I mean, you guys talk about it all the time, and we see it in your stores. And then one of the other survey results is around what's the number one challenge? Well, guess what? The number one challenge is staffing. And it's the people element of what you guys do and how you manage those HR resources. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's a bit of a disjoint. On the one side, they're saying they're really good at this, which is a people-driven customer service approach. And then they're really challenged by this, is finding the right people to actually fit into that customer service model and that value proposition. So what's the disjoint? Because to me, that seems like a disjoint, right? So kind of more questions for you guys. You know, how do you ensure, I guess, that your competitive advantage in customer service is sustainable? You know, and is it something that you guys actively work on, and what methods do you use to get there?
Well, I can start. I believe customer service has always been a number one for our company, and I think that's what's helped us survive all these years. So I think now more than ever, the carriers are really starting to focus on it, and they're looking to grade us and inspect us and do mystery shops for the last couple of years. But I think it's like anything else. You can't just tell people to treat people better. You really need to have it ingrained in your culture and from the beginning stages of your organization. So it goes right down to our mission statement, which is to give the ultimate retail experience to our customers through our outgoing, friendly, and knowledgeable sales staff. So it starts with that, and then we look at when we hire people, we're looking for friendly and outgoing people who can give the customer service. And so it starts with who you're hiring, it starts with how you train them, and we have an old rule in our company that we don't allow them to say no. So when a customer asks for something, no matter what it is, before they give the word no, they have to go to their supervisor to find out if they can overturn that. Even if we know, the answer is no. Because customers don't want to hear the two-letter word no, and they want to see that you're going above and beyond to get it. So, but it's definitely an ongoing challenge. It's one of those things that the larger you grow, and like Stacy said, we went from 21 stores in December to 54 stores in 6 months. So we now opened up a new set of challenges, which is what some of the bigger players in the room have, and I don't know how people do it with 300 stores. It was really easy to have a great customer service when you had 20, 21 stores. And so it is an ongoing challenge to try to teach the old dogs new tricks. Because when you acquire companies, you're getting people who are very set in their ways. And to get them to kind of believe in the new sauce and the new drink the new lemonade, it's hard. And sometimes you have to promote those employees to customers, which is my favorite saying, and kind of move them out and bring in the new blood and get it going again.
So I'll piggyback off Mark and say one of the most important ingredients we look at when we're picking on any member of our team is really attitude. You know, with the right attitude, we feel in our organization, we can put people to success. And so, similar to Mark's mission, our core piece of our mission statement is to provide an untouchable customer experience. And so we do the same. We challenge our employees to not say no, but to provide options to the customers, because consumers just want options. And you got to really find someone that is out there to take care of customers and not just make a dollar. And that's been one of our philosophies since day one. You know, one of the guys that's here representing our team, he calls it the red carpet experience. So whenever customers go there, he said, man, we're rolling out the red carpet. You know, and that's just the philosophy we have. And it's not really based on a dollar or margin. It's all based on providing customers an experience, because ultimately, I don't say we're competitors in this room, but there are other competitors, Best Buy, Walmart, Costco, Sam's, all the big boxes. So what's the difference between going there and coming to us? And our value is that customer experience. It's like going and buying a house or buying a nice car, and they call you and send you a handwritten thank you card. Well, you don't see that in wireless retailers, but that's something we do. And that's just about taking care of customers so that way they come back. So I would say attitude is one of the main ingredients to finding successful, building a successful team.
What you guys do for training initiatives? Because obviously to get there, you need your processes and infrastructure in place to train new people and that sort of thing. Is there some common best practices you guys use? Is there a pretty diligent process you follow, or how does that look within your organizations?
Yeah, so in our organization, we have a training program. Once you join our team, there's a 2-week onboarding process, and we do it regionally. We have a training facility, and we actually spend 1 full day on customer experience. That's how impactful we want it to be. And then we partner up with some of the other vendors. We'll use some of our accessory vendors will come in, like Offwire, and they'll help us out with Jumpstart trainings. And we'll try to integrate as many of the vendors and partners as we can through our training program to have our team set up for success. In addition to that, we have some great other portals that we use to facilitate a really good onboarding experience, because that's just as important to us, providing an untouchable employment experience, so that way everybody's set up for success.
We're very similar. We have a dedicated training manager who happens to be with us in the room, and we want all of our employees to have the same experience. So everybody that comes on, even when we do acquisitions and we acquire companies, they still go through our same, it's a 2-week program. It's about 2-3 days in classroom, which most retail salespeople don't like, because it's taking tests and customer service classes and videos, and then from there they actually go out on the sales floor, but they train on the sales floor. So it's a total of 2 weeks as well before they're actually ready to interact with customers. It's real hard to have that customer experience quality the same across your board, especially when you're spread out. And so now we're in 3 states. So again, we're small in the room. A lot of you guys have stores on East Coast, West Coast, and so for us, that's a challenge we're having now, is how do you have the same quality of customer service and the same knowledge when you're not in one state, and now you start spreading yourself out.
So one thing, the reason I asked about training, one thing, just so you guys know, and if you haven't seen it already, there's hints of it in our product area out there, but one of the things we're looking at doing as IQ Metrics is to bring some learning management system tools to you guys. So right now we've got, through IQ Metrics Campus, we've got content in there that's really today streamlined to RQ and XQ product lines, and how to package up, let's say, the right training material. So if you need to onboard a new inventory manager, you've got a set of prescribed courses you could take. We're also looking to extend that out so that it could become a private area learning management system, which means if you guys are looking for a learning management system to help in that training onboarding process, you might be able to carve out a section of IQ Metrics Campus as your own, have your own procedures in there. So, and then bringing partners into that mix too. Obviously, with our ecosystem, people like Kurt Reinhardt, who's a speaker here, having his programs injected in that type of content. So watch for that coming over the next few months.
Awesome. So the next topic we want to get into is very much in line with what Gary was talking to earlier. So with new prepaid carriers coming into the market, growing rise of prepaid customers, and postpaid carriers initiatives like Jump and T-Mobile, what are your thoughts on how this will affect your business, and do you have any plans to adapt with it?
So I think the days of cell phones, I think everybody realizes it's starting to change. We went from regular flip phones to QWERTY text messaging phones to smartphones, and now I think every carrier is throwing everything at us. Every morning I get in, I open my email, and I can't wait to see what new product we're going to be selling, whether it's home automation or home security that AT&T's doing, or it's a home phone, or
Helicopters.
Yeah, helicopters. I mean, who knows what's next? So I think it's ultimately something that's going to happen. If you look at the whole world, everybody is non-contracts. So I think I know that Verizon has started to go away from that residual model. I know AT&T is starting to go away from that residual model, which I think from their standpoint will enable them to compete with the prepaid models and being able to give the customer a phone more frequently, where they'll be able to get phones every year or every 6 months. I think it's going to become a more commonplace. The hard part, or the part that's going to be strategic for us, is going to be able to keep our customers and market to our customers so that they come back to you every time they want a phone. And so once there's no more contracts, it's going to be really hard for you to know when to market your customer and when the time frame is. Is it, because we all market our customers when they're coming close to that renewal date. But now you're not going to have a renewal date. So you're going to have to literally just take care of your customers either when a new product comes out or just be in touch base with them on a regular basis.
Yeah, so to piggyback on that, I look at this kind of twofold. One is that the carriers, at least on Verizon's standpoint, they're not actively pursuing the out-of-contract customers. But in actuality, there's about 30% of their base that is out of contract because they left them out there hanging. And so one of the things we've done with this Project Retail is we changed the way we market our customers. One of the vendors we picked up, with ChatterSpot, we spend 100% of our time marketing to our existing customer base. Most of us spend a lot of time trying to get new customers, and really when you win, or when we found success, is marketing to our existing base and to new base. And so this death of contract cycle, it's going to still take some time. But how are you going to combat that? One of the ways we've done it with working with Project Retail and maximizing this retail space is picking up all the other vendors that are out there with the supplementary products, not just relying solely on handset sales, going wide with your accessory mix, going wide with, other applications like Snap One. So we have to turn into more of a destination for wireless products, not just cell phones.
Right.
So you guys, I was talking to one of our customers, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and they said at one point, before the Verizon Edge program, they consulted, they had a panel of customers, longtime customers, and they asked those customers, here's an array of devices, current devices, what do you think they cost? And the average customer response was, well, they got to cost you about $50 if you're selling it to me for $99 or $199, right? Assuming that everyone's making a margin on selling the handset. So that just, to me, is like, how do you not know that this computer in your hand is worth more than $50, right? So I think what we have to get through, obviously, is the consumer mindset and the mind share so long being driven off of a subsidized model, and to your point, is that going to change overnight? Is a customer going to be able to come in and take advantage of these programs and think, I got to pay how much for a phone now? It doesn't matter if I have to pay it over time, it doesn't matter if there's conditions, but I have to pay a lot more for a phone than I ever have, right? So I think to your point, that will take time to shift the consumer mentality as well. And both of you guys mentioned this too, that the importance of loyalty and having that leash back to your customer is more important than ever before. But the upside seems to be if this is the case and this is the way things are going, you should expect to see that customer back in your store a lot more than every 24 months, right? So there seems to be some opportunity within this type of concept moving forward.
So obviously growth is one of the number one things impacting our business. So do you look at growth from within, adding stores, and with shrinking margins, how are you looking at growing, facing all of the different challenges that you have in front of you?
So I'll kick this one. I mentioned in the last question, majority of us started out as a wireless retailer, selling a basic handset, then it went to smartphones, mobile broadband, and now, in our space, we sell about 8 different products that counts as a new activation. So one of the things, instead of the fighting against the carrier with the home telephone services and all that, we've tried to embrace it, and we've tried to change the way we do business and make that a part of our mix. But in addition to that, we don't want to be dependent solely on a carrier, which is why in this Project Retail, we've maximized every vendor possible to bring in additional revenue. and to diversify our store mix. And I think that's important personally for our business. As the wireless space continues to get competitive, as the wireless space changes contracts or purchase prices, and that's why I think that turning your store into a wireless destination for electronics and your core, which is handsets, with the supplementary products. So, without continuing to ramble, I do believe it's very important to maximize the vendors that we have to bring in added revenue, whether that's handset protection or mobile applications. You got to go there because the consumer space is getting saturated with handsets.
Yeah. So I've been in the business 24 years, and as Stacy said, I've watched the carriers change, and we've outlived a lot of the different carriers over the years. But we've always been able to adapt, and we've always been able to take what we have and make, I always say, make lemonade out of lemons, right? So you have to take the deal of cards that you have and kind of play the best hand you can. And so over the years, partnering with IQ, we have done a lot of what you did with Project Retail, maybe not to the extent, but a lot of them we have implemented and had a lot of very good success stories. And then this year, for the AT&T dealers in the room, and I hear Sprint is right there with us, Big Brother has been telling us we can't sell this and we can't sell that, and we're going to take this product away from you, and we want everybody to be the same. And so it gets harder and harder to kind of reinvent the wheel when you aren't able to use your ingenuity to kind of create new products, new ways to generate revenue. So for us, growth has been acquisition. Unfortunately, we're making less per door, but like I said, we tripled our doors, so our growth is up. It's bringing in as much accessories and product that we can bring in, and it's embracing the carrier to saying, okay, we know who the boss is. The boss is the carrier, and either we play it their way or we don't play the game. So we've embraced it, and wireless home phone and home security, and trying to teach our players that work for us how to not only sell the cell phones, but how to start to move into the other direction, because without all of that, it's very hard to stay in business with what's going on. So I think most of the AT&T dealers in the room, and I hear Sprint the same thing. Is that what you guys are feeling?
Amen, yeah. And when we asked Mark to join the panel, we were saying, we're going to talk about these topics and this topic. And one of them was, of course, around growth and the success that Krrish has had in some of the new partner categories and that sort of thing. And Mark just said, well, you might as well just handcuff me to the chair on the stage, because that's kind of how he feels like, right? And it's, it is what it is. I mean, we understand that. And talking to carriers from our perspective as IQ Metrics, that certainly has been, pretty resounding theme, where they want to see the customer experience within your stores and their stores very similar. One way they get there, of course, is in product selection and making sure that when an AT&T customer has to call in to get support from AT&T, they're dealing with a product set that they know, right? That they can support. So we get that. I mean, everyone wants to have the best experience within their stores. Ironically, though, when you look at, in our State of the Industry survey we sent out, there's still, year over year, we would expected this to have grown by now with connected devices and everything else that is coming down the line. Whether you're able to sell it yet or not sure, but the majority, 90% plus of our customer base still, when they look at what they sell, 90% of our customer base would attribute non-phone sales to only about 5% of what they do. So that's surprisingly low to me. That, if you look at any, and you mentioned this, if you look at any ad that the carrier is putting out these days, it's very much, around what are the products over and above phones these days, and the connected devices and connected home and home automation. Do you guys get a sense of how that product mix is going to look for you guys as you go forward? Is it happening now? Is it 6 months away? When do you think that's going to hit?
So it's a good point you mentioned. In our organization, we actually challenge our sales team at a target of 40% of their sales are the pull-through, what we call pull-through in our Verizon world. So 40% of your mix of your transactions are non-handset. And that's a challenge, a stretch goal that we have for our sales team. and that's with all the added services, which is home telephone, mobile broadband, the home phone connects, all the extra stuff besides the handsets. And we've challenged them to make that a part of their culture and their store experience. At the same time, we're also attacking the existing handset customer base and the ones that are out of contract. And so, we're hitting it head on. It is a challenge every day, because the most challenging piece of this is, one, every day there's something new, because the carriers are still trying to figure out which one they want to push, and they're just throwing them all out there. They're going to see which one sticks and has got the best margin. And then the other challenge is that when you have 10 different products, how do you train your team to that, right? How do you get them to be a product expert versus just somebody that can read the call-out card and tell you what it does? And so the challenge is training continuously on all these new products that keep coming out. You got to find one that sticks. So, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same. I think the only advantage that I look at as an advantage, and I used to look at it as a disadvantage, would be the support that we get from the carrier on the new products. So in the beginning, I would hear my reps saying, oh, the reps from AT&T are constantly telling me I have to sell this, they're constantly telling me I got to sell that. And now I kind of looked at it and said, well, wow, these guys are free salespeople for me. They're going to help me drive my team to be successful. And so I kind of changed the way we thought about it, and I had my district managers and my sales managers kind of rally around that and kind of continue the same message, which I think if you just direct the same message, it actually turns a negative into a positive.
One last one for you guys. So what has been the effect of virtual fulfillment programs and cash flow margins? Where is this going to affect your business in the future?
That's a good one. I don't know if we know the answer yet. For AT&T, we just got direct fulfillment right at the iPhone launch, and surprisingly, we didn't get that many iPhones because we had direct fulfillment. So we did a lot, as expected. The good news is we sold a lot of iPhones. The bad news is this lack of cash flow coming in, customers who we want to give the customer experience to, who want to walk out with a phone, who want to experience our sales reps demonstrating it and putting on a case for them and a screen protector and all those things. They kind of can, and I think ultimately it's almost like going on the internet and ordering it from Apple or from the carrier and having it shipped to your door. So we're not a big fan of it because of the customer service experience, more so than the cash flow.
I think that's an interesting point. Mark raised what could be. We've been talking about it and seeing it for quite some time, but that shift in consumer behavior. So now with the direct fulfillment programs, you're essentially training a customer to do their homework online, and now that advantage of walking into a store to touch and feel a product when the carrier just direct ships it, that's changing the landscape. And it's risky. I think it certainly puts you guys into a bit of a risk category, a risk situation, because now you've got a consumer that maybe over time will just be used to buying their phones in a direct fulfillment type model, right? So that's certainly a risky proposition, but at the end of the day, it doesn't sound like, and Sprint's been doing this for quite some time, and it doesn't sound like that's making up a very large portion of the types of orders that you guys are dealing with yet. So, but is there anything you can do to ready yourself? Is there e-commerce initiatives? Can you brand yourself a little differently so that you just adopt the fact that there's going to be more direct fulfillment? Yeah.
Yep. So my take on this is it's going to turn into the new norm with handsets that are extremely popular, or tablets in general. With ordering the virtual inventory. So what we learned on this last Apple launch, we learned a lot actually. And I was talking to a friend of mine, another Verizon guy, Dean Leisha, if any of you know him, and we were trying to discuss how did the Apple launch go, because many of us didn't have that, the inventory. So how do you really capitalize on all that traffic and all the people that are coming in the stores? And we thought we were doing a good job. So one of the things that we did is we set up what we call a WCPON. When customers came into our stores to order their Apple handset, we sold basically a $50 ticket for $80 worth of accessories, because what's happening is when people coming in for this virtual inventory orders, they come into your stores and then they're going elsewhere and they're buying all the other support products. So we're doing everything we possibly can to not only maximize this virtual inventory system, but also taking full advantage as if that product was in your stores, and then that customer truly becomes yours. Because ultimately what could happen is if consumers start realizing that they're coming to our stores and all we're doing is ordering it, what's the difference between them going to bestbuy.com or apple.com? So you still got to have a competitive advantage and give them the proper experience. And that's where I feel that we still have an advantage regardless of where the inventory is coming from.
Great. Well, Eric, Mark, Krrish, thank you so much.
Thank you, Stacy.
All right.